What's going on, everyone? We are starting some more seeds today. In today's episode, we're going to be going through all of the seeds that you should be starting in mid to late March to get ready to plant out into the garden in early to mid-April. Let's go. The crops we're focusing on today are cool and cold weather crops. Now, if you have not yet started your tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, we did already start those. You definitely want to get those started. Onions as well, you absolutely can get those started as well if you've not yet started those. We've done videos in the past on those. If you have not started anything, go watch those videos, bundle them all together and get those started now as well. But today, for today's video, we are focusing on cool and cold weather crops that can grow right now and then be transplanted out into the garden in early spring. This is a crop or a grouping of crops that often get forgotten about, and many gardeners, they either plant them directly into the garden and they miss out on a beautiful window of time to grow them, or they start them too late and then they move them out into the garden and it gets too warm too fast. And these crops, a lot of them do not like really warm weather. And so because of that, we're focusing on those crops today, because essentially what we're looking at is we're going to be growing them in early to mid-March, maybe even late March. And then depending on where you're at, you're going to move them out into the garden about 2 to 4 weeks before your last frost date. So our objective right now is we're in mid-March and we're starting these crops so that we can get them up and growing, and we're going to move them out into the garden right around probably April 15th to April 20th or so. That is the best time I have found to move these crops out into the garden because it's still cool and cold, and if you do happen to get a frost, it won't bother them too much. So for soil, you know how we do. It is Pro Mix. That's our soil of choice. And then for fertilizer, we take a little bit of our Trifecta Plus and we throw in about that much. We're using about a 1/4 cup per gallon of soil. Fluff all that up, give that a nice fluff, and we're going to add that to our trays. We want a soil that is well draining, that is loose, fluffy. It is going to be inert, so it's not going to encourage any fungus gnats, mold, or mildew. And then we simply run that over our trays. A lot of you ask about this soil tray that I have here. This is just a 2x4 construction on top of plywood, and then I lined it with some pond liner. It works awesome. It is waterproof, does not rot, does not deteriorate, and it can take an absolute beating. So yeah, we just got some pond liner from a pond supply store. That's what we use for our soil tray. So now that I've got the soil in here, we're gonna press down like we do always. Pressing down the soil helps to compact that soil in the cells, make good contact with the seeds. It's gonna help your germination rates and prevent the soil from drying out unnecessarily. It also helps remove air gaps, which can help or can actually hurt root development. So we're pressing those down, getting some good compaction, and then we're going to start our seeds. So the first seeds we're going to be starting here are collards. You want to get your collards started early. They are a very long-term grow for us. We grow them in the spring all the way through summer, even into fall. And so the more you can grow them, the more you're going to get. We're going to sow, for most of these, we're going to sow about 2 to 3 seeds per cell, especially if you're going with MIgardener seeds. Germination rate is insane anyways, so we're not going to have to start that many seeds per cell. But there we go. Up next is cauliflower and broccoli. A subtle foreshadowing here. We are going to be starting broccoli as well. These are brassica crops that you cannot start too late, and you also don't want to start them too early. There's a very fine window, at least here in Michigan, where we want to start them and get them established. And then once the weather has stabilized, that's when we move them out. Cauliflower and broccoli will go to seed very easily if they're exposed to wild temperature swings. Because of that, we're starting our seeds right now, and we're going to move them out into the garden once we've gotten our first initial weather swing out of the way. You'll find the weather will go from 30s to 60s almost overnight. Once we've gotten out of that pattern and we're staying more consistently around the 50 to 60 degree range, that's when we're going to move our broccoli out into the garden. Still doesn't mean that we're going to be out of the threat of frost. It just means that that first initial warm-up spike is already behind us, and that reduces the chance of these going to seed. We're going to start our broccoli as well. And when it comes to all your brassicas, they are very cold tolerant. Like they absolutely can handle a frost or a freeze, no problem at all. So if it seems too early to start them, it's actually exactly when you want to be starting, because if you move them outside when it's too warm, that also can cause them to go to seed and to be stressed. And a stressed broccoli plant is way more likely to encounter the cabbage moth. It's way more likely to go to seed. It's also way more likely to actually bring on things like aphids or other pest damage that comes in when a plant is stressed. So we're starting our cabbage as well. As you can see, common theme here, lots of brassicas. Now the cabbage we're gonna grow in early spring, and these Copenhagen market cabbage are some of our favorite, but we also have another type of cabbage, the mammoth red rock cabbage. And we absolutely love growing cabbage because they're just so productive. They grow so easily for us, and they're a staple in our household. We'll turn them into sauerkraut, we'll make kimchi, we will shred them up and make a slaw. It's just, they're so versatile and awesome. Continuing with our trend of brassicas, we've got the next crop which we're starting, which is kale. Now I absolutely love to grow kale because much like collards, they grow all season for us. We plant them in the spring, they do great. They pretty much don't even mind the summer heat. Some people think they get a little bit woody or a little bit bitter, but in my opinion, as long as you're harvesting them early and watering them well, they don't get that bitter on me at all. And so we grow them all summer, and then they grow into the fall just fine, and sometimes we can even get them to overwinter. They're incredible. Now the black magic kale is one of the varieties, but we're gonna be starting a lot more as well. We're gonna be starting our lacinato kale. We're gonna be starting our red Russian kale, our blue curled Scotch kale. There's so many varieties of kale that we like to grow, but for today's video, we just have just the one. But by all means, I mean, our household loves kale. It's really great. We will saute it, we'll juice it, we'll throw it into salads when it's young. It's just such a versatile crop. Next, last brassica we got here, and that is Brussels sprouts. Now, if you are not starting your Brussels sprouts early, you are absolutely missing out and probably foregoing a harvest altogether. Brussels sprouts can take 100 to 120 days to form a Brussels or a sprout, whatever they are. The little Brussels sprouts that you see forming on the side of the stalk, those do not form very quick. They take a lot of time, and if you want to get a harvest, you got to start them early. So we always start ours fairly early. And as a quick little tip, you're going to want to fast forward to early to mid-July, and all of the side growth, all of those leaves, you want to remove about 50 to 75% of the leaves, because that will also help to form the Brussels or the sprouts or the Brussels sprouts or whatever those side things are called. I know they're called Brussels sprouts, but the whole plant is also called a Brussels sprout. So just a tad bit confusing. And I've been doing this my whole life. So yeah, quick little tip for you. Next, we are going to be moving away from the brassicas, and we're going to be transferring into a different type of crop, an herb, and that would be cilantro. It is a big mistake to plant cilantro in warm weather. I know, salsa, summertime, 4th of July, cookouts, cilantro tacos and stuff like that. You eat cilantro a lot in the summertime. However, cilantro does not like warm weather, and it'll go to seed really easily. So we start our cilantro early and we enjoy the heck out of it. And then ultimately we go to a farmer's market or to a grocery store. We get it during the summer because you can grow it during the summer. It is just very tricky. Often it involves a very intense misting setup to keep the plants cool. A lot of times cilantro that's available in the summer is sometimes even grown hydroponically indoors where it's more climate controlled, or you implement like shade cloth, which helps to block some of the sun, helps keep it more cool. In my opinion, it's far easier just to grow it when it wants to grow and then just let other people specialize in the seasons where it's a little more challenging to grow. So we are starting our cilantro right now, and there's a few crops we do not have represented here, and that would be lettuce. Now you might be wondering, why is lettuce not being started right now? It's because we already started a bunch of it. Now we already have several different successions of lettuce started. We start lettuce every 2 weeks. So 2 weeks ago, we started some lettuce. In 2 more weeks, well, in about maybe another week or so, we're going to start even more lettuce. And that gives us a continual harvest of lettuce rather than one harvest all at once. So absolutely, lettuce can be started right now as well. And also lettuce can be directly sown in the garden in probably 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to be starting seeds directly into soil that are going to take their time to sprout. But when they do sprout, they're going to be growing right in the ground. We don't have to do any transplanting, which is great as well. The next crop you got to be starting is artichokes. Now, artichokes are a fantastic crop. They are so fun to grow. They just take a while. And because they take a while, you want to get them started early. And the more you can grow them, the larger you can get them, the more artichokes you're going to get from them. So I highly advise starting them early. Now, another quick little tip with your artichokes is if you're starting in cells like this, only start 1 seed per cell, because they get big and they get big fast. Because of that, we don't want to put any more than 1 seed per cell, otherwise they risk overcrowding. And we're going to be starting a lot of artichokes this year, because now that we have the farm, we're going to be growing a whole artichoke patch. It's always been kind of a passion of mine. I love artichokes, artichoke dip and a roasted grilled artichoke, and just such an amazing crop. It's beautiful, great for the pollinators, so pretty. Also just makes a wonderful hedgerow along the driveway, which is where we're going to put it. So there is artichoke. Get them started early. And then the last crop, I know that these videos, they can get a bit repetitive. I'm aware of this fact. And I see your comments. I see people that say, Luke, every season you film what to start right now. And you have to remember, from my perspective, there's a lot of people that are new to this channel. In fact, according to analytics, just this past week, we added 7,000 new viewers to this channel that may have, but probably have never seen our content before. So you do have to understand that from my perspective, there does need to be a tad bit of seasonal redundancy. But I also understand that these videos serve as a reminder to a lot of people that already have seen these, that give you a kind of a little bit of a memory jog, or a journal that says, oh, right, that is when to start these. I forgot about that, and I think it's important to make that note as well, that these videos are educational, but they're also meant as a reminder, and they're meant to just kind of inspire you and get you ready for the season. I also do know that these videos are not, by any means, a comprehensive list. I will hear people say, well, I live down south and I already started this crop. That's fantastic. We are the MIgardener. We are in Michigan. So yes, there are crops that some people will have already started by now, and that's fine. That might be you. That's okay. The next thing that people sometimes ask is, well, what about this crop? You didn't mention that crop. Again, this video would be 15 hours long, and it'd be a 10-part series, because there are potentially tens of thousands of different crops between herbs, vegetables, flowers, and a whole host of other plants that you could, in theory, be starting right now. So I don't want to make that, I don't want to lose focus on that fact either. This is just kind of what we're starting currently, and it's by no means a comprehensive list. What you can do is you can follow these rules and say, okay, cilantro, it likes cold weather. I would put it out in the garden before a last frost. I want to get it started early so it's up and growing. That's kind of the general theme of this video, right? You can apply this rule to other crops that we haven't mentioned yet, like flowers, right? Like there's a ton of flowers you could be starting that we're just not starting right now. We're probably starting those in about a week. So could you include those in this video? Absolutely. But for time's sake, we've omitted it. And in explaining all of that, I probably took up the same amount of time as it would have been to explain those things. But you know what? Hey, that's why I'm here. I'm here and I love life. The final crop that we are going to be starting right now is we are multi-sowing beets. The reason why I'm not using my cell packs for this is because we are putting 3 to 4 seeds per 3-inch pot. We're growing them out as a multi-sown plug, and those crops are going to be moved out into the garden at a later time as a cell pack. Now you can do this in 3-inch pots. You can do this in like 2.5-inch pots, but you do want a larger pot because you're not thinning these. You're not thinning the beets. You could also do this with radishes. You can try this with carrots. I don't recommend it, but you can try it with carrots. Any root crop, you can do this with onions as well. Onions are multi-sown, but you typically sow a lot more onion seeds than just 3 or 4. But in this case, we are literally taking this block of beets, moving them into the garden, and as they mature, they just simply swell and push out from that center, allowing you to grow 3 or 4 beets in a very close area. It is by far, in my opinion, the best way to grow beets. And because we are going to succession sow, we're going to sow some now, and then in about 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to start another succession of beets. And then in another 2 to 3 weeks, we're gonna start some directly out into the garden. And so absolutely starting beets right now is highly advised. When you're multi-sowing your beets or any of your root crops, I like to envision the eyes on a coconut. It's a very simple way to remind yourself, or if you're like grabbing a bowling ball, right? The 2 holes on the top and the 1 hole on the bottom give you a little triangle. I take that and I just go boop, just like that in every single cell. And that gives you good spacing. It gives you adequate planting for the plants to grow up and not be too crowded when they mature. And then lastly, it makes sure that you don't crowd the seedlings out, because if you space them too close together, they absolutely can get crowded. So I always go by that, the coconut rule. Is that a technical term? No. Is it now? Yes. So from here on out, that is called the coconut rule. If you're multi-sowing, follow the coconut rule. And that is just about it for all the seeds we're starting right now in mid to late March. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. And I hope you guys will have fun starting seeds. I hope you all will let me know in the comments box down below what you are starting. And also, please do let me know if these videos are informational, if they're helpful in any way. The whole point behind why I film these episodes is so that I can inspire, educate, and get you excited about being out in the garden. And if that goal is better met some other way, I'd love to know. So please let me know. If these videos are snooze fest, I have a lot of fun filming them, but it's no point to produce them if you're not enjoying them. So please comment down below, snooze fest or not, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. As always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. Take care. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider clicking this one. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I want to thank you for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It's free, and we upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. We also have vegetable seeds, fertilizer, or tools. If you need any of those, consider visiting MIgardener.com. Links will be in the description box below. We've got you covered. And as always, we'll see you all in the garden. Take care.